Do you need a freak in the shop? Yeah, I'm talking about the BOSCH Freak. This is the BOSCH 18-volt Freak. What is it? Well, it's kind of a hybrid tool, and it could be really cool or it could be kind of gimmicky. Let's dive in, check out the features on this thing. Then we'll actually use it on a couple of different items or a couple of different materials, and then we'll come back and talk about pricing and about warranty and what we think of this freak. We're excited to have a BOSCH tool in the house again. It's been a while since we reviewed anything from BOSCH, but we're excited. This is the BOSCH GDX18V-1860C. Gotta love those model numbers. Basically, it's on the 18-volt platform and brushless series, and the 1860, I believe, is in relation to the actual torque output, which we'll get to that here in a moment. But basically, the name of this tool is called the Freak or Freak. And the reason why, again, we'll get to that in one moment as well. But basically, you have what looks like a typical impact driver, maybe a touch bigger than a lot of your current impact driver, but it's not a big tool at all. In fact, from the tip of that anvil to the back is less than 16 inches, or less than 16. It better be less than 16. Anyway, less than 6 inches from the front of that anvil to the back. Now, what's interesting is I just called it an impact driver, and we've got that big honking half-inch anvil, square anvil up there. And that's part of the reason why they call this the Freak, because when you look at the front side of this, we've got a hollow anvil, which doesn't seem to be a good idea for an impact wrench, but we'll see how well it does last. And basically, we can insert bits in there. So in addition to being able to accept a half-inch socket on here, we can also, by pulling that ring out, insert impact driver bits. So that's why they call this the Freak. It's half impact wrench, half impact driver. So pretty cool, right? Now we can put our impact driver bits in there and drive screws. And then in a pinch, if we need to, we can also throw a socket on there. And you can see I didn't have to remove that bit. If it doesn't get in the way, just throw an extended socket on there and not worry about it. Yeah, obviously, if it does get in the way, then we can pull this ring out here, which that's how you have to eject the impact driver bits. You have to pull that ring out because it is locked into place, and pull that out. And the same way for inserting it, it's not just a one touch. You do have to pull that ring. It opens that detent, and then you can slide that bit in there. So pretty cool. Then we get an impact driver and an impact wrench. Now, I mentioned we do get a brushless motor here. It works on their Core 18-volt series batteries. This is the 4 amp hour version, which is pretty slim to be a 4 amp hour. And we get up to 1,860 inch-pounds of force, which if you do the math, divided by 12, that gives you 155 foot-pounds of torque. And we will be testing that here very soon. We're going to drive some screws with it, and then we'll take it over to our torque testing bench and actually test the torque as far as breaking fasteners free. And this is where you can insert basically their little tracking discs, and you can be able to access it from your BOSCH app and be able to inventory and keep track of your tools, and obviously for security purposes and manageability. Now we also get several modes here on the impact driver or on the Freak. We have 3 different speed modes, so we can literally go into 1, 2, or 3, which is going to incrementally give us stronger results as we go up from 1, 2, and 3. In fact, in 1, you can tell, and by the way, we get a variable speed trigger, so you can see how slow we can make this go, all the way up to wide open. That's in speed 1, speed 2, a little bit faster, and speed 3 is going to be your max RPM, which I don't know what max RPM is, but the max impacts per minute, or IPM, is 4,100. So a max of 4,100 impacts per minute, and that would be in speed or in mode 3. Now we also, I guess I should call those speeds since that's what it's named here on the buttons. And then we have a separate button that says mode. So we have 2 additional auto modes, if you will. And one is for, say, wood screws, and one's for metal screws or self-drilling screws, or you may look at it as lug nuts and wood screws. But basically, one is going to automatically sense something and slow it down, and one is going to automatically sense something and stop it. Now, my confusion comes when I look at the box here, and we'll figure this out in a moment. I'm not basing everything on the box, but I did notice If we look right here, it says mode, and it basically says A, which would be for a metal screw, because that's a self-tapping screw there, and B would be your typical wood screw. So basically that B would be for wood and A would be for metal. However, if you look down here at this under preset modes, it says application A is wood screw and B is self-drilling. So not sure why that is, and it says B is auto slowdown and A is auto stop. We'll test that and see. Not a big deal, but I think those are speaking against one another. But regardless, we will figure that out here in just one moment. Oh, and there's our RPM. So sorry about that. I guess I should read the box, right? Typically, I don't like reading the box because too many people do that. So speeds in 1, 2, and 3, 1100 RPM, 2300 RPM, and 3400 RPM max. And as I mentioned, 4100 max IPM, or impacts per minute. Now we measured it. Let's go ahead and get a weight on this tool. Slide this over, and we'll weigh it with the 4 amp hour battery. 3 pounds, 12 ounces, so under 4 pounds for the tool. So if I were looking at this as an impact wrench, I would put it kind of in that compact range. It's a little bit longer than some of the compact and subcompact impact wrenches, but not much, and it's definitely not in that mid-torque range, especially in strength. However, there are some benefits of being kind of a dual roll machine or dual roll tool here as far as an impact driver and an impact wrench. Some of those things get gimmicky, but actually this could have a lot of value to it. Now let's take this over and use it. All right, we're going to take the Freak and we're going to take a few of these 3.5 inch exterior deck screws and run these into some PT. Pretty common exercise, right? And that's in speed 3. Obviously no problem driving those. Now I am curious, switching to mode A. So I'm in mode A. Okay, once it kind of sunk it, it just started kind of skipping, if you will. So it's basically not driving anymore. So I would call that probably, I'm assuming that would be the wood mode, which is A, and I'm going to switch to B. Okay, and that looks like it's going to stop. Yeah, so that one stops. So I would assume that would be the one for like self-tapping screws, would be B. Because when you're driving self-tappers, as soon as it grabs, you want to stop, or else you're just kind of blow through that, because typically it's kind of thin gauge metal. You're building metal buildings, you're putting in metal roof, whatever, and you don't want it to strip out those fasteners or strip out the actual thin metal. So I would say that this B mode is for those metal screws. Yeah, there you go. Now, one cool thing is, if you got to a place you're typically driving your deck screws, but then all of a sudden you need to run some construction fasteners, like this 6-inch screw here and this one here. Obviously, you don't want to be doing that with a 1/4-inch bit. So I can pull that one out and grab my T40 here in a 1/2-inch anvil size. And I am going to go back to speed 3. That's not helping. Looks like I need some more test material. My point is, we can drive the screw. That's not a problem. Obviously, I need some more testing methods, or some better testing methods for this. But anyway, we can drive the screws. That's not a problem. And the cool thing is, you can swap very quickly between the impact driver bits and the 1/2-inch anvil style bits or socket type bits. Now let's go take it over to our testing bench and see what kind of torque we can develop. Okay, here we are on the test rig. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the bit, even though I could probably leave that in there and slide this socket on. But I'm going to take the bit out. Number one, I want to kind of see, is it going to cause any issues being hollow? Now, I know we're only going up to 155 foot-pounds or so, so I doubt it's really going to cause an issue because of that. But I just wanted to show you that I did pull that bit out, even though I could probably leave it in there and be able to still clear those with this deeper socket. But we're going to start now at torquing these fasteners. We're going to take our torque setting tool from High Torque, and we're going to start at 75 foot-pounds and do 75, 100, 125, and 150, which is pretty much the cap. I think it's 155, but we'll stop here at 150, and then we'll come back and do another round if we break those free. So 75 foot-pounds. We have a full battery in mode 3, in reverse, and we have these little indexing marks here in different colors so you can kind of see whether that socket is actually turning or not. And we're going to let this run for 10 seconds on each fastener. Now, if it starts breaking it free after 10 seconds or by the 10-second mark, we will let it go ahead and finish breaking that nut free. So as long as it's moving at the 10-second mark, we'll let it keep going. If it does not break that free by the 10-second mark, then we're going to call it, and it will not get that score for that particular fastener. So let's start at 75 foot-pounds. Okay, there we are doing up to 150, and it's not struggling whatsoever. The last one, it took a couple to a few seconds to break it free, but not struggling yet at all. We'll start back over here at 175 and go up from there. All right, now we're back for another round, now starting at 175 foot-pounds. Let's verify, yes, we still have a full battery, and we're still in mode 3, and we are in reverse. 175. Okay, even at 250 foot-pounds, it is not struggling to break that free. I think I counted around 6 seconds for it to start moving, but it's still doing that pretty easily. So we're going to start back over here at 275. And to run these fasteners back down, I'm going to change to mode B. Yep, so you see my fingers on the trigger. So as soon as it senses that it's tight, it stops the tool. Finger is still on the trigger. Now we're jumping up to our bigger torque setter, and we're going to start at 275 foot-pounds, do 275, 300, 325, and 350. All right, back around again, 275, 300, 325, and 350. We'll go into mode 3, full battery, in reverse, 275 foot-pounds. Now you'll notice that took a long time for it to completely break that free, but you'll also notice by the 8 or 9 second mark, it was already moving, and that's why I let it go ahead and finish. I bet we're probably not going to be able to break the next one free, which will be 375 foot-pounds, so let's check it out and see. All right, back again. We'll change the mode 3 again. Now we're at 375, 400, 425, and 450. We're in reverse. Yeah, it did not move. Try it again. Okay, so it didn't get it in the first 10 seconds, or maybe it did just with the naked eye here without reviewing this tape. I'm going to give it that, and we'll cancel that out if in editing we find that. But we're going to give it that 375 foot-pounds. Now we're going to go to 400. There we go. And here we go. Okay, did not get that one. So going to give it 400, not give it 425. I do want to try one thing. I want to try putting a bit in here and just seeing if maybe that gives it some more oomph, and maybe there's flex going on in there, which would be minuscule, but still, let's try it out and see. So back to 425. So it did break that free. However, we had already hammered on it for 10 seconds. So let's go to 450 and see what we get there. So again, just like before, oh, it looks like our bit is hitting on our bolt, by the way. Yeah, it definitely is. Anyway, was it moving at the 10-second mark? Yeah, probably. Are we going to give it that? Yeah, I guess we will. But let's move on now to 450 foot-pounds. Okay, that one was definitely not moving after 10 seconds. So will it do 400, 425, 450? Yes, with that bit in there. I don't think it's going to do it. I think at the 400-pound mark, you're going to maybe encounter some flex in the anvil there. Should we be pushing this tool that far anyway? Probably not. So a lot of variables in there. Bottom line is this thing's pretty strong to be a little hybrid impact driver / impact wrench. Well, you can't argue that it definitely has some appeal to it in being able to run an impact driver bit to drive screws and you know, even some smaller deck screws, things like that, and then even being able to quickly adapt it to drive construction fasteners or to remove a lug nut or remove big nuts and bolts, what have you. Pretty cool idea, but is it really useful or is it kind of gimmicky? Actually not. I don't think this is a gimmicky tool at all, even though when I first heard about it I thought it could be. I think this falls in that line of being a compact impact wrench, although it's not a compact impact driver. So it's more along the full size of an impact driver and is able to accomplish the task of a typical, you know, high-end impact driver. Also, it gives you the ability to, again, swap out to a half-inch drive anvil, on a square anvil, and run some larger sockets or larger, T40 torques or whatever. And it does it quite easily. It's not overpowering by any means, but again, it's kind of playing the role of two different tools. So I think this is a great idea for someone that is kind of in between constantly of, running smaller fasteners as well as needing to switch over and run larger fasteners as well. So this aids in you not having to buy two tools. You don't have to have an impact wrench and an impact driver. In the automotive realm, if you're constantly, working on smaller things, like maybe not on suspension components, but around the engine area, interiors, things like that, this is going to work out fine as an impact wrench, and even as an impact driver, this is a nice handy little tool, although it's not as small as, say, a 12-volt tool, but Bosch makes those as well. So it's a great crossover tool if it's something that you need. Now, if we look at price on this, you're looking at $129 as a bare tool, so not bad whatsoever. $129 like this, just the tool, and I think you get a few bits, the 4-bit setup here. But even with a battery, you can get it kitted with a 4 amp hour battery and a charger for $199, and that includes a 1-year warranty. And if you register the tool, you get upgraded to a 3-year ProVantage warranty. So make sure you register it if you do buy one of these, and then that'll extend to a 3-year. Otherwise, you just get the standard 1 year. Feature-wise, there's great features on this. You get the 3 different speeds. You get the A and B mode, and being able to, not strip out, self-tapping or self-drilling fasteners, as well as kind of the auto stop feature when you're running lug nuts on or off, and it will automatically stop the tool, so you're not over torquing and also not slinging the nut across the shop. As far as power wise, we're breaking free, 400 foot-pounds, and then throw the bit in there, and we are able to squeak out like 425 foot-pounds. So, you can argue there on where kind of we ended with that. I don't think it's a big deal in pushing this thing further and further, but I do think you're getting a little bit of flex in that anvil, so removing that bit did aid us in getting a more solid contact and having less area of flex, as well as harmonics going on to limit that torque. So in other words, aiding a little bit on that torque side. So if you are running fasteners in and out, it might make sense to put a bit in there and make sure you're using a long socket. And what you do not want to do is you do not want to stick a 1-inch bit in there, one of the shorties like that, because it will get lost in that anvil, and I'm not sure how you would get that out. I'm sure there is a way to do that. In fact, we have a video on removing broken fasteners or broken bits in these impact drivers. So listen, for the price, I think this is a great deal. Again, if it's something that you need and something where you want a crossover tool like this, or you just need an impact driver or a small impact wrench and you're on the Bosch platform, great idea. So check it out. It's the BOSCH FREAK, or the model number is the GDX18V-1860C. We'll have a link in the description if you want to purchase this. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. If you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, then give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day. Keep smiling.